Hello everyone, and welcome to another video dvar with Rabbi Chaitovsky here at BMH-BJ in Denver, Colorado. I remember when I used to teach at the Shoshana Cardin High School in Baltimore that we had a number of students who would always take a shortcut across the grass to get from one building to another. And there were sidewalks, and most of the students used the sidewalks, but there was a group that consistently walked across the grass. And when asked why they did that, they said, well, there's a path there. And I said, if we hadn't been walking across the grass every day, there wouldn't be a path there. Why don't you use the sidewalk from now on? And to their credit, they understood what the point was, and they stopped using the grass, and it grew back, and after a while, you didn't even know that people had been traipsing across the shortcut anymore. A cute little story, and you're wondering why I'm sharing it. Well, I'm sharing it because it dovetails beautifully with an unusual verse in this week's Torah portion, the Torah portion of Re'eh. In describing what was going to happen when the Jews get to Israel, Moses says to them that you're going to stand at these two mountains, Har Eval and Har Grizim, and you're going to re-ratify the covenant that was made years ago at Mount Sinai. And in an unusual display of, I'm not even sure what word to use, just an unusual verse, the Torah actually gives them the exact directions to get to those two mountains. It says, aren't they there on the other side of the Jordan River, beyond the Derech Mevo Hashemesh, beyond the way of the coming of the sun, or as one person translated it, down the road, down the sunset highway. Go there, travel that path, get to your destination, and we'll have this ceremony to re-ratify the covenant. Why is the Torah giving us the precise directions? It's not just the location of where the mountains are, it's like the directions how to get there. And the Gemara in Sota wonders the same thing. And they think maybe something more is going on, and something more is going on. By the time the rabbis of the Gemara finish with that verse, what they end up with is not just a set of directions, but also a set of ethical guides into how to travel, how to reach your destination ethically. What do I mean? Well, the Gemara says, when it says derech, to walk on the way, it says walk on the road. Velo basadot, but not on the fields that you see there. Why would people walk on the fields? And why shouldn't they walk on the fields? Well, number one, the fields are not yours. So you can't walk on them. It's trespassing. It could be destructive. It could be marking a path where one does not belong. And the Gemara says that the Torah is telling us when you're trying to get somewhere, we have to get there ethically. We have to get there properly. And this is an interesting idea for this particular Shabbat, not only because it appears in the Torah portion, but because in our calendar we're marking the new month of Elul, the month that precedes the High Holy Days. And everyone has a lot on their minds. Jews around the world are beginning to prepare, not just physically, but also mentally and spiritually for the high holidays. And we're thinking of our destination. We want to get somewhere. We want to travel a path. And perhaps in our eagerness to travel that path, we might want to sidestep a little bit and maybe travel through someone else's fields or property. Maybe we're going to step on their toes in our own desire to get where we need to be. And the Torah and the rabbis who interpreted the Torah are telling us that on your journey, you have to travel the straight and narrow path Don't take that shortcut. Don't step on someone else's toes. Don't step on someone else's property, because your destination will not be reached that way. Very, very poignant story of Rabbi Israel Salanter, who was asked by his students as they were about to bake matzah for Passover, what's the most important law that they should be aware of in making matzah? And Rabbi Israel Salanter, the great Musarist, the great ethical teacher, said, there's a woman who's employed by the matzah bakery, and she does very hard work taking the buckets of water back and forth so that you can have water to bake the matzah with. Don't take advantage of her. Don't mistreat her, he said. That's the most important thing to be aware of. So in our desire to rededicate ourselves to Torah and to mitzvot, and to worry about all the minutiae that perhaps get lost along the way, we need to be aware of the fact that those ideas or those goals cannot come at the expense of someone else's dignity, the expense of someone else's property, the expense of someone else's toes. We have a job to do. We have a path to walk. We have a destination to reach. We have an obligation to walk that path morally and ethically and properly. Have a wonderful Shabbat.